Hi everybody and welcome to this total body yoga where we're going to get a nice full body stretch, hitting up all of our major muscle groups with some Hatha yoga poses. So as always, you might want to have a cushion or a yoga block nearby. If you are ready to begin, we're going to start today in child's pose. So you can come into whichever version of child's pose you prefer. Keeping your knees together is going to target your lower back, while taking the knees wider apart will target your hips. If you can't comfortably sit onto your heels, you can have that yoga block or cushion in underneath. Then the hands can reach towards the front of the mat, allowing the forehead to come onto the ground. If your forehead doesn't make it, that's okay. You can rest it onto a cushion or a block, or even just use your hands here to bridge the gap. And once you feel settled, once you've gotten rid of any wiggles or fidgets, we're just going to find the breath. Staying here for about a minute, feeling yourself breathe in and feeling yourself breathe out. And if your mind starts thinking, that's completely normal. But just try to gently stop those thoughts by focusing once again on your breath, or maybe finding some interesting sensation within your body that you can just attach your awareness to instead. Take one more big breath in here, expanding your entire body. Exhale to let something go. And now your next inhale can start to slowly pull you back up, making your way into tabletop pose here, coming onto all fours. The shoulders are above the wrists and then the hips are above the knees here. You can spread your fingers wide apart to help to support your wrists. And we're just finding our tabletop pose here, gently pushing yourself away from the ground, bringing your belly button slightly closer to your spine. Back is nice and long here. And we're going to do a few rounds of cat and cow. So as you inhale, point your tailbone up, drop your belly down, bring your chest slightly forward and look up. Exhale to point your tailbone down, round your spine, tuck your chin to your chest and drop your head. Keep pushing away from the earth here. Inhale to slowly come back up, finding your cow pose. Exhaling to round into cat. We'll keep going, following the pace of your breath here through each pose. But you might also prefer just to find stillness in either or both of the poses. Really take as much time as you need to figure out what your body needs and then act accordingly. Now you can keep going with cat and cow, or you might want to bring some different movement into your spine. And you can do that by bringing your hips over towards the right and then look back over your right shoulder. So you might feel the stretch all through the left side of your torso and also up into the left side of your neck. And then we'll gently come back to center and repeat on the opposite side. And you can keep going if that feels right for you. A few more times on each side. And once you're ready, if your wrists need a little bit of a break here, you can sit back onto your heels, do whatever you need to do. And then when you're ready, we'll come into downward facing dog. So the hands are a little closer to the front of the mat now. Fingers are still spread wide apart. Walk your knees back and then tuck your toes. Knees lift up off the mat, and then you can slowly drag your hips up and back. So we'll start nice and slow, maybe just paddling your feet, gently swaying and twisting your hips to find those little stretches. And then we'll start to incorporate the stretch into our spine as well. So you can drop your head, bringing your ears in line with your biceps. Keep pushing yourself away from your hands and point your 2 seat bones up towards the sky. Knees can stay bent if they need to be, but try to press your heels down towards the floor here. And you can see your feet here. Just check in that they're about hip width distance apart. Keep pushing yourself away from your hands. Keep breathing. One more big breath in. And then with an exhale, you can drop both knees back down to the mat. Again, take that little break for your wrists if they need it. You can even stretch them out here by pointing your fingers down and then gently pulling your hand back towards you. Now from here, we're going to come into a low lunge, bringing our focus down into the hips a little bit. So hands come back to the mat, and then you can step your right foot forward in between them. Now your back knee will determine how deep you go here into this hip opener. Top of the back foot can stay on the mat, or you can tuck your toes if your knees need a little bit of support, that's okay. And take about 3 breaths here, feeling all of that opening within your hip, throughout your back quad. Now try to balance your body between front and back and left to right. So all of your weight comes into the hips. From here, we're very slowly going to lift our upper body up if we can. Hands can come to the front thigh for support if needed. Now, if you've come this far and it's too much, that's okay. You can come back down into the regular lunge. But if you are happy here, you might stay here, keeping your balance in your hips. And then maybe going a little bit deeper by reaching your hands up, gently finding that back bend, looking diagonally up for a crescent lunge. Take a big breath in here. And then as you exhale, cactus your arms, so your elbows are at 90-degree angles. And then imagine you're trying to touch your elbows behind your back so you can really open up through your chest. Stay here, or maybe interlock your fingers behind your back and gently press your hands back towards your back heel. Wherever you are, take a big breath in. And then we'll exhale to release, bringing the hands back down to the front foot. You can tuck your back toes, lift your back knee up off of the mat, and then step back into downward facing dog. However you get there is okay. And once you're there, we'll just paddle the feet again, maybe stretch the back if that's what you need. Observing a big difference between the two sides of your body here. With your next exhale, both knees can come back down onto the mat, and we're going to repeat our low lunge on the left side this time. So once again, finding what works for you. Your back knee will determine how deep you go. And then when you're there, connecting to 3 deep breaths. Once you find your center and find your balance, if you do want to come on up, you can come into this version of a high lunge. And then if you want to go a little bit deeper, we'll inhale to reach up. Find that gentle back bend. Exhale to cactus the arms, squeezing your upper back or your shoulder blades together so you can imagine you're touching your elbows behind your back. Maybe interlocking the fingers here. Big breath in. And when you're ready to exhale, you can come back down. Now this time, instead of downward dog, we're going to come into a high plank just for a moment, if we can. So you can lift your back knee off the mat, step that left foot back, shoulders are above the wrists, and then either come straight down or you can bring your knees down onto the mat first. And we have found ourselves ready for cobra pose. So you can spread your feet to about mat width distance apart. Hands are next to the chest. And then inhale to peel your upper body up off of the mat. Elbows can stay bent here. You can look straight ahead or you can gaze diagonally up. And just take about 3 breaths here, really stretching through your spine. Stretching all through your belly. When you're ready, you can start to slowly come back down to the mat. Finding a little resting pose here with crocodile pose. Big toes come together and the heels drop towards the edges of the mat. Make a pillow with your hands. And then rest either the side of your face or your forehead onto your pillow. Allowing your body to process everything we've done so far. And just try your best here to stay with your breath. Now when you're ready to come back, we'll make our way into child's pose. So really slowly dragging the hips back onto the heels. This time we're going to keep our knees together. And then when the forehead comes down towards the floor, we've created a nice bend in our spine. And just allowing the upper body to drip over the lower body here. We'll take 3 or 4 big breaths. Now your hands can reach towards the front of the mat. Inhale to pull yourself up. Tuck the toes, lift the knees, and drag your hips up and back into downward facing dog. From here, start to walk your feet towards your hands, eventually finding ourselves in a standing forward fold. Knees can stay bent here as much as they need to. Hands can hang low or they can come to hold opposite elbows. Head becomes heavy, neck is relaxed. We're just taking a few breaths here, stretching through your hamstrings, lengthening through your spine. Each inhale might lift you slightly out of the pose, and each exhale will help you to sink deeper into it. Now you can release your hands back towards the floor if they're not already there. Tuck your chin to your chest and slowly start to roll your spine up, just one vertebrae at a time. The back of the neck is the last part to straighten up. And once you're there, finding yourself in mountain pose, feet about hip-width distance apart, toes spread nice and wide apart. Tailbone is pointing down towards the mat. Shoulders are back and down away from the ears. And just feeling whatever new sensation you're feeling within your body. Connecting to your breath. Finding your center. If your eyes are closed, you can gently open them up again. Our next pose is extended triangle pose. So you can come into this pose by reaching, or stepping rather, your left foot forward towards the front of your mat. And then your right foot will come back, keeping your right foot parallel to the back of the mat. Now this front leg will be straight, but we don't need to lock the knee here. In fact, we want to avoid locking the knee. So keep this knee nice and buoyant. Then we're reaching our arms out wide, left to right. They're roughly on the same level here, so you can peek in and figure out if that is the case. Try to stretch your hands as far away from each other as you can. Now we're gently going to tip forward as if we're trying to touch whatever wall might be in front of you. And then with an exhale, drop this left hand down so it comes to find your left shin. And then right arm reaches up towards the sky. If you can look up at your right thumb. Now we want to keep our spine straight here. So if you feel as though you're rounding or you're just collapsing into your left hand, then you can just lift this left hand up so it's higher along your left leg. Really nice stretch here for your spine, your hips, your shoulders, your neck. Really targeting every muscle for that full body stretch. Keep breathing. We'll take 2 or 3 more big breaths here, gently twisting your chest up towards the sky. You've got this. One more breath. And when you're ready to exhale, you can start to slowly come back up. Switching our feet now, so our left foot is parallel to the short edge of the mat and the right toes point towards the other short edge. Right knee is buoyant and arms come out wide here. Look over your right fingertips and then tip forward as if you're trying to touch whatever wall is to this side. Right arm comes down towards the right leg and the left arm reaches up. We're maybe looking at our left thumb here, shining the chest up towards the sky so we can feel that gentle twist in the back. Find whatever area of your body is asking for your breath the loudest and send 2 more big breaths into it. Now you can start to slowly come back up, dropping the hands down, bringing the feet back together and finding mountain pose again. So feet are hip width distance apart, palms are facing forward, tailbone pointed down, shoulders relaxing. Feeling even more energy and new sensation within your body. Finding your center and just breathing in and out from it a few more times. And if your eyes are closed, you can gently open them again. And from here, you can come back down to sit on your mat. Just finding whatever way is most comfortable to sit for you. Now, if you do have a few more minutes to spare, I'd definitely recommend lying down on your back in corpse pose and just taking a few more minutes to digest the practice. I do have a video that will help you with that if you do want to click on over to that video instead. But if you are ready to end your practice here, we'll do that by just taking 3 more breaths together. So you might just lengthen up through your spine, relax your shoulders down and away from your ears, unclench your jaw, relax your face. Take a big, smooth breath in and a long, releasing breath out. 2 more times like that. Whenever you're ready to do so, you can open up your eyes again. So thank you so much for joining me for this routine. I hope you enjoyed it and found it beneficial. If you did, I'd really appreciate it if you could leave this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed. It really does help in supporting me to create this content. And if you would like to go deeper into your yoga practice and do some full-length classes along with some other topics within yoga, such as yoga philosophy, then I do all of that inside of my membership. You can learn more by clicking the join button below this video. So I will see you again soon on the mat. But until then, take good care of yourself and goodbye.